Hey guys, this is Ric Galvez, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we'll be talking about 5 of the best scales for writing amazing metal guitar riffs. Scales are crucial to know as a guitarist. Learning scales will definitely improve your riff writing and songwriting. They are a means to creating a particular sound. For example, if I'm going for an aggressive or dark sound, then I can go with a Phrygian or Locrian mode. If I want something that will create a neoclassical sound, then Harmonic Minor is the way to go. If I want to create a Middle Eastern sound, then Phrygian Dominant is definitely the way to go. Before we jump into the 5 scales, I need to mention that I will be referencing the intervals that are found within these scales. If you are unfamiliar with musical intervals, then be sure to watch my video about intervals and how they relate to metal riffs as well. With that out of the way, let's jump right into the first scale, which is the natural minor scale. So the first scale we will be talking about today is the Aeolian mode, also known as the natural minor scale. So I'm going to play it in 1 octave in the low open E position. Take note of the fact that my guitar is tuned to D standard, so it's going to sound 1 whole step lower than it would in E standard. The natural minor scale is a great scale to use if you want to create a melancholic sound that's commonly found in such subgenres of metal like melodic death metal and melodic black metal. You got intervals such as the minor third, then the minor 6, combined with the major second, The natural minor scale, also known as the Aeolian mode, consists of the intervallic formula of root, major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, and minor seventh. It's also important to be aware that the Aeolian mode is the 6th mode of Ionian, also known as the major scale. This is important to be aware of because the major scale is the most fundamental scale there is in music. It is the starting point of which other scales, in particular the modes, are derived from. 3 of the scales that we will be talking about today are modes of the major scale. So Phrygian mode, you could think of that being like the minor scale, but as an even darker version because of the fact that we have a minor second in the scale instead of a major second. So from the low D root, we have this. I'll play the same scale shape but up an octave higher. And because of that minor second, we can get a much more exotic and even darker sound out of the Phrygian mode than we could with the natural minor. The Phrygian mode is very similar to the Aeolian mode in terms of its intervallic formula. There is just one note difference, and that is the second. So in Phrygian mode, we have the minor second instead of a major second, which gives us an intervallic formula for Phrygian of root, minor second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, and minor seventh. The Phrygian mode is also the 3rd mode of the major scale, also known as the Ionian mode. Harmonic minor, just like the natural minor scale, except we have a major 7th in the harmonic minor scale, instead of a minor 7th, which results in a very neoclassical sound. So if we play it in 1 octave, it will sound like this. The harmonic minor scale consists of the intervallic formula of root, major 2nd, minor 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, minor 6th, and major 7th. As you can see, the harmonic minor scale is almost identical to the Aeolian mode, except with one note being different, and that being the 7th. We have a raised 7th, so that we have a major 7th relative to the root, instead of a minor 7th that we have in the Aeolian mode. This raised 7th degree in the harmonic minor scale is what gives it its signature neoclassical sound that you can find in the music of people such as Yngwie Malmsteen. So the Phrygian Dominant mode is the 5th mode of the harmonic minor scale, and also is a great scale to use in metal as well. So this, out of all the 5 scales that we have in the video today, is the only scale that actually has a major 3rd instead of a minor 3rd. So thus making it more of a major scale than a minor one. However, the Phrygian Dominant scale still has the minor 6th and the minor 7th and the minor 2nd. And all those other intervals together with the major 3rd gives it a very awesome and cool Middle Eastern type of sound, which still works great in metal music. So I will demonstrate it in 1 octave for now. Especially those first 3 intervals of a scale, so the root, minor 2nd, a major 3rd. Those intervals especially really gives it that Phrygian Dominant sound that the scale is known for. It's also very similar to your regular Phrygian mode, which is derived from the major scale, except we got the major 3rd instead of the minor 3rd as well. So it's like an even more exotic version of Phrygian. The Phrygian Dominant scale is very interesting for 2 particular reasons. First of all, it happens to be the 5th mode of the harmonic minor scale. Secondly, it's very similar to the Phrygian mode that's derived from the major scale, with one note difference, and that is the fact that we have a major 3rd in Phrygian Dominant instead of a minor 3rd like in the normal Phrygian mode. This major 3rd combined with the minor 2nd in relation to the root is what gives Phrygian Dominant its very particular Middle Eastern sound, which can be found in such bands such as Nile, Behemoth, Melekesh, and Opeth. And last but not least, we have the Locrian mode, which is the 7th mode of the major scale. And in 1 octave, it sounds like this. So unlike the other scales that we mentioned today, this scale does not have a perfect 5th. It has a flattened 5th, also known as a tritone, or also diminished 5th or augmented 4th, like we discussed in the previous video about intervals. So because of this tritone interval in the scale, and the lack of a perfect 5th, it gives it a very unstable and uneasy feeling, which, also for that reason ends up being really great to use in metal as well, especially in styles like death metal as well, where it's not so much based on a sense of melody, It's great for stuff like that as well. Even in traditional heavy metal, like for example, the riff in the intro riff, "The Painkiller" by Judas Priest, is based off of the Locrian mode. So the Locrian mode is very similar in shape to the Phrygian mode. It's pretty much exactly the same, except that we have the flattened fifth instead of the perfect fifth, like we do in Phrygian. So you can think of it as like an even darker and more unstable version of the Phrygian mode. This scale comprises of the formula of root, minor second, minor third, perfect fourth, diminished fifth, minor sixth, and minor seventh. This is by far the most dissonant scale that we have in this list today. And the reason for that being is the fact that we have a diminished fifth instead of a perfect fifth. So the last thing I want to talk about in today's video is the combining of different scales. So when we're writing music, we don't have to be limited to just one particular scale throughout the entire song, or even a particular riff, you know. We can always, mix and match, the different scales to create new sounds and moods in our music moving forward. So for example, if I were to do some improvisation right now, let's see what happens if I play around with different scales in one key for now. Thanks so much for watching my video. Be sure to visit me and to follow me on social media, and to visit my website www.ricgalvez.com, where you can book your private one-on-one guitar lessons with me. Thanks so much once again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.